Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday, February the 25th, and welcome to our commentary. Well, you probably heard a story from South Texas that a bakery was shut down. ICE showed up and they shut it down because the owners were using illegal workers and were also accused of harboring illegal immigrants. It's a complicated story. I've got a post about this over at the American Thinker today, but a lot of people are wondering, what was that all about? And I think it's a combination of, number one, the Trump administration has decided that they're going to enforce immigration law, and they're going to take a very tough posture in this particular case. What makes this case, and all of the information has not been released yet, so I'm gonna tell you what this is, a suspicion that I have here. But I think what some of the people who may have been arrested or detained may have a criminal background, because that's what they're focusing on right now, is people with a criminal background. So again, that has not been released, and that information has not been published in the story that I read and the story that I link to in my American Thinker post. But I think that's probably the fact that there may have been workers there, or one at least, who had a criminal background. That may have been the excuse to go in and then accuse the owners of the bakery of harboring illegal immigrants. That's what I think probably happened, because that is different. I mean, if you just think about the deportations that ICE has been doing, they have been focusing primarily so far on criminal elements. And for them to go after a bakery like this, I'm going to guess, and again, it's just a guess of mine, but I think it's a suspicion based again on the other stuff they've been doing. I'm going to guess that they probably had information that one of the people working there had some kind of criminal background and criminal activity. But if that's not the case, if they're simply stopping or going after employers, then that takes us to a much higher level than just going after criminals. And I think it sends a message to anybody out there that if you are using illegal workers knowingly, that you could get a visit from immigration or a visit from ICE and find yourself in trouble. I mean, that's the other part of the message that I'm seeing. There are still about 2 million people in the country. I mean, beyond these incidents, there are still about 2 million people in the country, from what I've seen or have read, that are at the moment have a letter from a judge saying to them that they didn't qualify for political asylum, or they didn't qualify for whatever asylum or whatever request they had made. And I don't know how many of those people are still around, but that's going to be a group that I would assume eventually they're going to have to go after. Now, they're not violent people, they're not criminal people as some of the others may have been, but they're basically people living among us who are in the country with a letter saying you have to leave. And what's going to happen with those people, we'll see. We'll see in over the next few months. But I think that's going to be a group they're going to go after. But again, these are not criminals or dangerous people, but they're just people who didn't qualify for political asylum. That kind of takes me back to a story that I read about this a year or so ago. Representative Cuellar of South Texas, Representative Cuellar is the Democrat in South Texas in the Laredo area. And he was very, very critical of the Biden administration for letting people in. He felt that it would have been better for them to wait in Mexico, as had been the case under the first Trump administration, where they would wait in Mexico for the judge to approve their case. And if the judge approved it, then they came in legally. If the judge didn't approve it, well, they never came into the country. But one of the points that Representative Cuellar made on TV, I remember watching it, was that the overwhelming majority of these people do not qualify for political asylum because they are really economic. They're asylum seekers, but they're economic. They're not political. And we historically have not accepted those. We've only accepted political asylum through this mechanism. So my guess is that, the 1 million or so that are already have a letter is probably going to go up even higher than that. as more and more people start getting those letters because they're failing to persuade the judge that that they are here for political asylum or that they qualify for political asylum. So that's probably going to be the next group that you're going to be hearing about. Again, they're not violent people, they're not dangerous people, but they're violating a letter from a judge telling them that it's time to go home. We'll see how that happens. I would hope that most of those people get it and begin packing up and going home. That would be the wisest thing for them to do. But in some cases, that's probably not going to happen. They're going to have to be removed from the United States. So this, I think that, again, as I say, the message is clear that the Trump administration is, simply saying, look, we're going to respect immigration laws. And if you're violating immigration laws, there's going to be consequences. And I think that's the message, very loud and clear, that they are sending. I've got a post coming out tomorrow morning where I'm talking about something that just happened in Wisconsin. The governor of Wisconsin, Governor Evers, I think that's how you pronounce it, has either signed into law a statute or is recommending to the state legislature that we change the word mother for, and I've got to look at this because I've never seen inseminated person. So I guess a mother, or what you and I have always thought of a mother as a female who has a baby and becomes a mother and provides all this love and attention to us as her child, is now an inseminated person in Wisconsin. And this is how she's going to be described legally. So when a woman goes in and they ask her for her status, she's no longer a mother. She's now an inseminated person. This is insane. This is the absolute insanity that has hurt the Democratic Party so much. This is way beyond civil rights and equality. This is insanity. Okay? This is just total, complete insanity to refer to a mother as an inseminated person. Where do you get ideas like that? And you just have to wonder, the governor of Wisconsin, I guess he's a liberal, but I don't know how crazy liberal he is. But who would put an idea like that? Who would put something like that into the law? And by the way, what is an inseminated person anyway? Is that a woman who gets pregnant, I guess, by external means? I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. But it really goes to show you how lunatic some people in the Democratic Party are. And it's interesting because in the post that I have coming out tomorrow, I cite Douglas Schoen. Now, Douglas Schoen is a very serious Democrat who has been telling this party for quite some time, you're going too far to the left. You got to talk about issues that matter to the American people, like border security and the economy and so on, crime. But it just seems like that message is not getting through to many of the leaders of the party, because when they're doing crap like this, labeling a mother as an inseminated person, this is crazy. That I don't know who in the world. What are you going to do? Call your mom? What are we going to do? Change Mother's Day now to Inseminated Person Day? This is insane. It's the absolute insanity that comes from this crazy wing of the Democrat Party that I think is doing a tremendous amount of harm to the party. And that a governor would not see that. It's sort of like the governor from Maine who wants to fight with the administration over men playing in women's sports. It's crazy. Those are issues where the country as a whole supports women playing versus women. And I would think, I haven't seen a survey, but I would be willing to say that if you took a survey of most Americans and you said, how do you describe your mother? As your mother or an inseminated person? I would think most of them would say mother. Are you crazy? Well, that's the kind of lunacy, unfortunately, that is driving the Democrat Party these days. And I don't know where it's going to end. I don't know what's going to end. I don't know what it's going to take to change the party, because it's not like they're winning or gaining any more acceptance with the American people for this kind of stuff. On the contrary, if you read this new poll that came out from Mark Penn, they're at like 36% or 31% approval, that is, the Democrat Party. So they're not going anywhere unless they make some dramatic changes, not just in stuff like this, but just in general. Even the way they're fighting President Trump makes no sense. All they're doing is every time Trump says yes, they say no, but they don't really have an alternative to what Trump is proposing. So anyway, they inseminated person. Is that crazy? I think it is very crazy, to say the least. Well, let me leave you with this. We remember today George Harrison of the Beatles. He was born on this day in 1943, passed away rather young in 2001 of cancer. And of course, George was the lead guitarist of the group. And for the most part, he was in the background of John and Paul. I mean, that's just the way it is. When you've got John Lennon and Paul McCartney in your band, they're going to take all the attention. But eventually, George did develop his own personality and was able to write some good songs and release them in some of their albums. But I think his greatest work for the Beatles, he did write some good songs like Something and Here Comes the Sun was another good one. While My Guitar Gently Weeps is a great song. But I think his greatest contribution was playing lead guitar behind John and Paul. And he was well known as a guitar player. People thought he was a good one. And I think that's his greatest contribution to the Beatles, the fact that he was their lead guitar and provided the band with a really good sound that they needed to go along with all those great songs by John and Paul. So we remember George Harrison today, born in Liverpool on this day in 1943. Again, passed away in 2001 from cancer at the age of 58. Have a great day, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later.